Hey guys, what's good? Hope everybody's doing well and their summer's gotten off to a good start. I just wanted to make a quick video of a watch I've had for a while and check it out. Look at that beautiful watch. This is a TAG Heuer and this is the Formula One Chronograph Automatic. Let me take it off my wrist and then we'll take a look at it. Really nice watch, and as you can see on this sunny day, it is a very shiny watch. And just really well made, very impressive. I got this watch a while ago as part of a trade, and I've always wanted to, check out this automatic chronograph from TAG Heuer's Formula One line. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of TAG Heuer, but I had a chance to get this at a really good price. I jumped on it, and I'm really glad I did. It's been around for a while now. This particular watch, believe it or not, is I think 10 years old this year. So this particular version of the Formula One automatic chronograph came out in 2014, and there have been several iterations of this same Formula One automatic chronograph over the last 10 years. In fact, this particular version is no longer made, although they do make the same watch, although with kind of like different aesthetic cues, maybe different dials, maybe carbon fiber inlays, other kind of things. But for all intents and purposes, I mean, it's the same watch over the last 10 years. The watch is not cheap. MSRP from TAG Heuer is around $4,000 for this watch now. We'll talk more about pricing, but man, that's a lot of money. We'll see if it's worth it. Stainless steel, a big watch, 42 millimeter diameter, and a thick watch too. I mean, this thing is just like a chunk. Being their Formula One line, it means that it's a racing inspired chronograph, and so you can see the tachymeter scale on the outside. Just really nicely done, and you can tell what movement it is just looking at the layout of the subdials. It's TAG Heuer's caliber 16, and you can see that proudly displayed at around 3 o'clock. It's a caliber 16, which is not an ETA 7750 in this watch. It's actually a Sellita 500. They kind of made that change about a decade ago, actually, when they started phasing out the 7750 from ETA because of supply issues, no longer supplying that movement to non-Swatch manufacturers, and so Sellita kind of picked up that slack. But it's interesting, the history of this movement, whether it's the Valjoux 7750, the ETA 7750, or the Sellita 500 is interesting, really fascinating. TAG Heuer has been using it for a long time. So the first mention of this movement is in 1977 with the TAG Heuer Kentucky chronograph. And ever since then, the watches from this brand have used this workhorse movement in some iteration or other. TAG Heuer was going to stop using this movement altogether, again, about 10 years ago, and kind of move away from this chronograph movement. However, 10 years later, it's still in use and still available brand new in various iterations from TAG Heuer. Beautiful watch, though. I mean, just really pretty. You can see how shiny it is. And this watch reminds me a lot of another chronograph, the Rolex Daytona, the 116520. What do you mean? Look, you turn it over this way and you can see that beautiful kind of reminiscent shiny subdial arrangement of the 116520 black dial Rolex Daytona. I think that's not quite a coincidence. I'm sure 10 years ago that was the watch to own. Certainly 15 years ago it was the watch to own, whether it's in the white dial or the black dial. So I think TAG Heuer is kind of paying homage to that classic chronograph. So that it's a very classically made watch, a classically designed watch. It's shiny, but it's all stainless steel. There's no gold plating or anything, and you can just kind of see how it works. Solid case back. It's 200 meter water resistant. As usual with these Formula One chronographs, the lug width is odd, literally. So this is not 20 millimeters, not 21 millimeters, not 22 millimeters. It's actually 21.5 millimeters, which makes it difficult to find straps that fit. But the bracelet is really well integrated. It doesn't move at all. Let's activate that chronograph. So You can see it starts off smoothly. It takes a little pressure to get everything started. You kind of compress down. It's kind of well weighted, and then you feel the click. But it's really well done. And it's a 7750. I am glad that mine is a Sellita 7750 because, you know, Sellita actually made some improvements to the ETA version. So the power reserve is longer in the Sellita movements. And also you don't have that same problem with the date change. You know, some people think that's like an urban legend. I thought it was for a long time. But that date change problem with the 7750, especially the older ones, I've experienced it on one watch. So I bricked that watch accidentally. And ever since then I've been really careful about it. But Sellita has fixed that problem. So yeah, just a really pretty watch. It's a big watch though, and it's a heavy watch also. Let me put it on my wrist and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, give me a second. So we're back. A beautiful, sunny, breezy day. Perfect day to wear this watch. You know, I really like the style of it. It looks so good. It's a large watch, but it wears really well. I think a big part of that is just kind of how the case back is. You don't actually have much watch sitting on your wrist because it sits off of your wrist. Let me put it on and show you. The bracelet, a little bit of a letdown. Before I put it on, let's look at the clasp. A stamped clasp. They have fixed this in the modern version of the watch, and so the clasp is much better. It's it's pin fit links, and the bracelet doesn't taper at all. So I will say, as good as the case is, the bracelet is a letdown. But they fixed that in the latest version of the watch. They have a much better clasp system. It does have a extension. They don't call it a diving extension in this watch. They call it a race suit extension. Obviously the bracelet was an afterthought on this watch, and the watch weighs so much, and look how thick the bezel is. It's kind of like they took like one of their dive watches and made it into a Formula One watch. One thing that improves this watch dramatically is the case shape. I'm going to put it on and we'll talk a little bit more about this. This has the shape of one of the Octavia cases actually. And in that sense, oddly enough, so this is a much more classically shaped Octavia chronograph than their current Octavia line. And so that helps the wearability a lot because it makes the watch a lot more compact on the wrist. You can kind of see how it sits up off the wrist. It's very comfortable to wear, and it's a very good looking watch. You know, to me, this reminds me a lot of kind of the same wearing feel as, say, kind of something like a Royal Oak almost, you know, and check out my Royal Oak Offshore video. So the Royal Oak Offshore also is a very large watch, but it fits very well because it's very compact on your wrist, and this kind of feels similar to that. The bracelet, as lousy as it is in looks, the practicality and the function is excellent. I mean, it's very comfortable on the wrist. There's no hair pulling anywhere. And it's got this classic kind of 3-link kind of oyster type design. But it's a really nice watch. You know, it's a weirdly well-made watch, and it's a weirdly appropriate watch for a lot of situations. Look, it's 200 meters water resistance, so you can jump into the water and be fine. So it's kind of like a perfect summer watch. The watch does a good job of looking sporty and dressy at the same time. It's got just enough flash and just enough style to be interesting without being too much. And the watch does a good job of looking valuable. It does a good job of like looking expensive without being like gaudy and ostentatious. And I mean, look, if you're in the market for a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 watch, I mean, that's a lot of money for anybody. And so, you know, the watch has to look, it shouldn't be showy, but it should be stylish, classic, classy, and I think this watch does a nice job of doing that with just a little bit of edge to it. So you're not gonna, you know, this watch is definitely gonna catch people's attention without really just like being garish, I think, on the wrist. It does a really nice job of that. And in this classic all stainless steel look, it does a really good job. The crown is perfect. It's easy to grip. The pushers are easy to use. It resets to 0 perfectly without any problems. And the nice thing about this watch is that, you know,
it's easy to service. You know, it's a common movement, so it's not something that's going to be complicated to service, and any competent watchmaker should be able to give you service on this watch. I like it, and I hope it comes across how much I like it. I think it's pretty evident how nicely made this watch is and how well it sits on the wrist. It takes up a lot of space on the wrist, but it doesn't look, it looks large without being huge. It looks like a sports watch, and in that sense, this Formula One line is so good at that. Listen, at $1,000, $2,000, I mean, TAG Heuer and Longines, I think, are the watches you need to be looking at in that price range. Let's talk about price. So look, MSRP for the current version of this watch is, I mean, $4,000. That's a lot of money. You know, kind of like you can buy it at boutiques or stores at like $3,500, $3,000. Again, that's a ton of money for this watch. But I don't know, at $2,000, at $1,800, you know, pre-owned, secondhand, I think it's a lot of watch for the money. I'm going to say something crazy. I like it more than IWC at $1,500, at $1,800, $2,000, $2,500. I think it's a lot more stylish. I think it's a lot more fashionable. For IWC, you know, to get into their 41 millimeter pilot chronographs, I mean, you're looking at $4,000 or $5,000. I don't know, man. If it's me, I'd spend half. I'd get this, and I'd get just as much watch. It's the same basic movement for all intents and purposes. And TAG Heuer has done such a good job with this watch. I mean, it looks so nice on the wrist. It's classic. It's comfortable, and it's a watch you can wear anywhere. It's a really good vacation watch. You know, like I said, you can get into the pool with it. You can jump in the ocean with it. You can go to dinner with it. You can still look appropriate, still look nice. And it's gonna impress the girl or guy in your life. It's going to look expensive. It's gonna look proper. And like I said, at $1,000, $2,000, at $1,000, at $1,200, $1,500, I think the Longines Hydro Conquest is probably the best watch money can buy. I think at $2,000, $2,250, $2,500, this watch is up there. You know what I mean? If you want a chronograph, if you're looking for that complication, this watch does a good job of it. Guys, as always, I'm rambling. I really like the watch. I like it a lot more than I expected to, and I look forward to wearing it on vacation this year. Guys, I hope y'all are doing well. Treat others with love and respect, okay, always. And if you can't, remember, just pretend. Take care, guys. God bless. Bye.